Hey y'all, welcome back to the Cookie Chat. You've got your two basic bakers here. I am Melissa with Missy P Sweets.
I am Chelsea with Rolling in the Dough AZ.
And we are here talking all things baking, cookie world, cake world, small business world, life, all of those fun things. If you have not already, go ahead and like and subscribe so you do not miss an episode. We are coming up on the season, the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Of the baking world. I wonder how many tiers are going to be happening in the next few months. I wonder how
You
many
can wipe tears here.
There you go. I love
I'm prepared.
What's not even planned.
I know.
I do freaking love that beanie. I need it to get cold enough here. For me to be sporting this. So these are, we've got a merch on The Domestic Cookie. I will pop it right up here. Go ahead and shop this lovely merch of ours. But yeah, I wonder how many people are going to have their first experience dabbling in cookie decorating this season. Just all of the excitement that's going to come. Maybe somebody's getting a new mixer as a surprise gift. I mean, what would your ultimate gift be this holiday season?
A deep freezer.
Another one. Isn't it so sad that Mike is oh, I want to get you blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that was for my business. That was my business.
Well, no, but my go-tos. I'm could we just do something for Missy P's? Because that would mean the most.
Yeah, no, I always save something like my holiday money, so I treat myself at the end to something. Last year I did a stand-up freezer, which I love, but I wish I would have gotten the bigger size. Just went ahead and splurged for it. So this year I think I want another. I already have a deep freezer and a stand-up freezer, and I think I want another deep freezer because it makes all the difference.
My big thing is well, you know this, revamping my office space.
Yes, let me just fly on out to Texas for that.
Off until after holidays to do it, but
it's always the best time.
I know.
Well, speaking of holiday, what are we going over today?
Well, I've got my hair in a baking bun, just ready for us to go through all of this. I feel like we've done one or two episodes kind of with some of this stuff of just holiday, things to be thinking about for coming up on holidays. So whether you're doing pre-sales or pop-ups or any of it, we as bakers, as your tried and true, we have done it all. And we know what not to do and what to do. So these are the do's and don'ts, and maybe just some things to think about as we come up on holiday sales. So should we kick it off on a positive note? Definitely do these things? Okay.
Yes.
So we are going to start off with just some things that Chelsea and I have put together. And then we also asked you lovely followers over on our Instagram, which, by the way, if you haven't, go ahead and check us out on Instagram. There's so much more content over there for you guys. But we'll share some. Did you get a chance to scan through some of these, or am I going to surprise you with?
Oh no, you're going to surprise me with what our followers said.
I have some wonderful, insightful things. Okay, so why don't you kick us off with this first do, because I feel like this is your epitome of
So do meal plan or plan out your menus for holiday baking time. It always seems to be at the end of the day, you're either super tired, or some people, that's when they start their baking, and dinner or meals just come survival mode. And I definitely have felt the difference on planning out crock-pot meals or Instapot or one pan meals, any of that stuff. If you haven't checked it out already, we do have a list of fall meals for you and winter meals where we did all of the work for you on a crazy week of cookies. So that is something I think makes the biggest difference, because we forget to eat. You either get crazy, and you will feel that if you do not stop and fuel your body. So definitely meal plan and make it simple.
Are you a crock pot girl or an Instant Pot girl?
I am more crock pot person, but there are things that I do Instapot. Like if I forget to pull out chicken, just throw it in there. Or just need something super easy. I'm throw it up in the, a soup. Like chicken noodle soup is really good in the Instapot.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. But no, I like crock pots because I like the smell of things throughout the day, and it makes the house smell good. And
I feel too, it's a good break in my day. By 4 o'clock or whatever, I'm like ready for my cocktail. I'm ready to or I'm in the midst of like running a kid here or there to whatever
Mhm.
activity we have for the evening. And so I'm just like either not home or I'm exhausted. So in order for it to not be like a let's spend a crap ton of money on a takeout order or something like that. And I learned this past summer. I was like, I'm going to do crock pot meals on Thursday and Friday nights because if I
Mhm.
don't, we're spending the day at the pool and then I'm exhausted and I don't want to, and we just end up getting takeout. So I love a crock pot for that reason. Like I've always said I'm not a morning person. I'm not a night person. I'm like a midday. I'm a midday productive person.
I
Give
am a
me
morning
like
person, so
give
I
me like
pour it all
10
in.
to 1 PM and like boom. That's when I'm on fire.
That is most people's, like, peak energy time, I learned that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you fall into that. And something else that I am doing this year that I'm gonna try and I'll let you guys know is my family, so, like, my mom, my aunts, some of my friends, we're going to be doing, like, a meal exchange, and so instead of, like, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on it? When you bake the cookies and you all do, like, the cookie exchange,
Yeah, it's a
style.
oh gosh, well now you got me freaked out about it.
But that
And
type
that's
of
just a cookie exchange?
some people call it something I'll have to think of it here, but I'm like, "What
Okay.
is that?" Um,
Well, the
anyway,
way
so
yeah,
do
well, there's like a meal train. I mean, there's
yeah,
that,
this
like,
is
that's
just
how
like
you and I first talked about this. I'm like, they need to be doing meal train because they do it after somebody has a baby or like a big
yeah.
surgery or something like that, and they do a meal train. I'm like, can we get that on the books for
Yeah, so
bakers
we're
for the
doing, like,
holidays?
each person because it's
Yeah.
cheaper and quicker to bake something in bulk, so, like, just giving out an example, my mom makes, like, homemade lasagnas that you can freeze, so if she just makes, like, a few trays of those and then each person gets 1 tray, so you end up with, like, 5 or 6 different meals that you can just reheat, but they're already, like, good hearty meal,
Yeah.
and thrown aside, so we're gonna try something like that, and I'll let you guys know how it goes,
No, I'm so excited that you guys are doing that.
yeah, I love it, so something different, but
Yeah.
what is your next one?
Okay, well, I feel like you're better at this than I am. Ask for help as needed. Um
Melissa learned this last year, though. You did.
Yeah, I actually think I am gonna try and plan just like a fun wine night or something with some girlfriends. One of the nights that I need help with just like putting bows on things or
Mhm.
something like that. Just yeah, asking for help. I do ask my children to sticker bags for me. So
Yep.
I feel like that's
My
good. Yeah. Yeah, but I would also say, like, on the flip side of that is, and we don't I'm adding this last minute
yeah,
to
go ahead.
our okay, is knowing when to ask for help and then also knowing when, like, to be able to say no to social, like, things,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Like, you don't have to go to every ornament exchange or things. And if you feel like you do, then that's fine. Just know what your time is, I would say, I guess is the biggest point of this. Is just know what your time is and it's okay to say no or to like bow out right before because you just don't feel like it.
Um, if there's ever an option because of a lot of, like, the team meetings and things like that, I opt to do those virtual and will
Oh, yeah.
ask if I can FaceTime or do a Zoom call for it so I
Mhm.
can keep working because then I just shut my camera off, but then I can chime in, like, just having a conversation while I pipe, and
Totally.
I still get, like, 2 hours of work done
Mhm.
during a meeting. So,
Mhm.
there are things like that if you feel like, "Oh, I can't miss this." See if there's a digital option if it's just kind of like a booster
Yeah.
club or something like that.
Yeah. What's an example of how you've asked for help?
I asked for packaging help definitely during Christmas is 100%. My parents, like I did shifts kind of last year where
Mhm.
my girlfriend and her kids came over and they helped put the bows. Like I will say if you're gonna have people package the cookies, you do need to check into them if they need a food handler's card. Every state is different on this on how you allow help. When it comes to actually handling the cookies, I don't allow people to do that aspect of it, but the packaging part is where I ask for help.
Sure.
So, making sure the tags are hot glued on, if I haven't gotten to cutting all the tags, putting the bows on the packages, separating them out and just recounting because
Mhm.
we've all done it before and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm 3 short on that one," because we're thinking.
Yeah,
So I'll just always have, like, a second set of eyes on it. Ask for help with your kids if you need that. Like, "Hey,
for
I just
sure.
need really need time to zone out." and focus on this. And so setting up something with friends or grandparents or like a fun movie night. We've
Mhm.
done that. We sent like a little like tray of candies and like s'mores and been like, hey, we'll provide this. Can you host it?
Sure.
Um,
Or I've had too where I've like asked a friend or a neighbor, like, hey, can the girls come do a play date for a few hours? And like, hey, what cookies do you want from the presale? Like
yeah.
I'll give them free cookies or something like that. I've also used mommy's helpers, which are more like middle school aged kids. So not fully where you would do like a nighttime babysitter, but
Mhm.
you can pay them a lower rate and they can come over and just play with your kids in the house. Like,
Yeah, we don't have that. So I know you were telling me this last year. It was like 10, 12 years old
yeah.
to get that experience.
Or
And
even younger. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they tend to I feel like they generally tend to be, like, the older kids within their household,
Yeah.
so they're very used to, like, having the little kids around and stuff, but we've got a bunch of, like, kids who do that in the neighborhood, and that's been wonderful around holiday time.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's a great way to ask for help on that.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, and then just like Melissa said, kind of knowing when to bow out, and we all deal with that guilt of feeling like we're not doing enough,
Yeah,
where the balance comes in.
yeah.
Um, so the next thing that we have on the to-do list is send packaging for printing. So if you have your tags, most people, I should say, know their tags when they launch their pre-sale because it's going to be
Mhm,
accompanying them. Just send that off for print. The moment my
mhm.
sale ends and I make my spreadsheet, I'll just send that on its merry little way. The nice thing is too, you can pay somebody to cut those if your place doesn't offer cutting.
Yeah,
So again, your mommy's helpers in the neighborhood or friends or whatever it might be, they can help. My mom, bless her, she will pick them up for me and she'll cut them out so that they're all ready to go.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah, so if you haven't invested on Amazon, they have those like little handheld ones that you can cut
Mhm.
yourself. Melissa does it in the store and is
My trick,
one and
yeah, is
done.
to use, like, the industrial size free ones that they have at, like, either your FedEx or I pick my tags up from, Office Depot, and so
Yeah.
I'll use those. But I think the other thing to this too is, anytime so for me in the evenings, we've got dance or choir or all these little things.
Well,
My
and you have all
hands
the
are
performances of the school.
you do, and, like, anytime that there's downtime where it's like I'm waiting for the school pickup or just like a downtime even when your cookies are, like, in there, like, just I never have like down moments unless it is planned down moments. So if I am sitting in the car waiting to pick my kid up from dance, then I am punching out tags, I am
Mhm.
cutting tags, I'm putting stickers on bags, just like
Oh my gosh.
those are like down times that could be like just zoning on Instagram or something like that. Use those times to like do something to take it off your list so that you can actually sit down and enjoy like an actual show one day maybe or
We
something like that,
need
you know?
tote bags that say something like, "I'm a busy baker," and it's like all your, like,
Ooh.
tags and punchers and stuff in them. And, you just grab your busy
Love
baker bag.
it. I wonder if we could get Crystal on that, like, real fast.
Poor Krista.
Uh,
She deals with
yes.
us.
Yeah, my baking bag.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have
I love
sleepy
it.
baker, we have basic baker, how about we have busy baker?
All the bakers, all the bakers. I love it. I love it. Yeah, so those are big on the printing. Oh, and going ahead and like we were saying, like do sticker your stuff ahead of time. Go ahead and
Mhm.
put your box backers in your boxes and like get all those done. Like have an area and a space. My trick too is I love the big wardrobe boxes because I feel like a lot of
Oh, yeah.
times people are like, if you make stuff ahead, where the heck do you keep it? I love wardrobe boxes because you can just slide them. Like I slide them under my decorating desks over here, or slide them under a bed. Like, I mean, that's just a really easy, clean way to store stuff once you have it
Yes.
done.
Yep.
Okay. Make ahead and freeze, y'all.
Tricks.
It's game changer. We both now, well, I always did. You started this was it last holiday season? Making dough ahead of time and freezing.
Yes, on my dough.
Yes. So I actually go ahead and roll mine out in sheets. You just like get yours like in the big thing, right?
Yep, I
And
just
store it that way.
saran wrap it and put it in freeze bags and yep.
Yeah. Yep. So making and freezing dough, you can make and freeze icing. Definitely like test that out, see how that works for your icing. But from a like safety standpoint, yes, it can be frozen. It's more of like a consistency thing that you want
I like
to.
my frosting fresh.
I know. I don't mind a flood that's been frozen and thawed, but the puffy, it's
Mhm.
when you don't want something to crater, that consistency can kind of so yeah, but you absolutely can. And making and freezing cookies. I still have cookies in my freezer from last Christmas because it's just like, I like to test. And
Yeah.
so I like have them because I'm always like curious about like, oh, how is the airbrush going to handle? Is that going to smear when it comes out? So it's definitely so, or is like the red going to color bleed at all? So I would say if you can go ahead and test up front, doing something with marker and freezing it, doing something
Freeze
with
your samples.
airbrush. Yes, yes. And like the color bleeding. So freeze some stuff and like let yourself know. But absolutely make and freeze stuff. And
Mhm.
oh yeah, I'll link to our episode of how to freeze cookies. We have that covered.
Yeah. And Kelly's Cookies is really good to follow. She has a whole highlight reel where she goes over like the whole entire freaking process and how she does it. So if you ever were wondering how people do mass produce certain things,
Mhm.
freezing is 100% key on that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
our
All
next
right. What's our
one,
last one?
I love it. Make bows ahead of time. I am a sucker for homemade bows. I do use a mix of homemade and then the pre-done, just basic twist on. There's just something about a bow. It makes it so unique and cute, and it can really liven up and bring a whole nother level to your packaging. Um, I typically had made all my bows myself, and then as the years progressed and my pre-sales got bigger, I had to ask for help. So it kind of takes us back to the beginning. And
Mhm.
now I have some family friends who their family, bless them, are so sweet and are always willing to help with anything. I give them my bow colors and sometimes I'll make some pre-done ones like, hey, I really like this pattern. And they will just crank them out for me and then put them in bags, a number of how many bows are on each, and hand them back. And I'll usually buy them dinner or if they want cookies or anything like that. And yeah, so make that all ahead of time. Then
Yeah,
you kind of
man.
know what you have.
Or if you're like me and lazy, you buy the bows.
It's not lazy. It's just a
It's
whole
not
nother
honestly,
avenue.
it's just and honestly, it's not because I'm afraid of making bows. It's just a different aesthetic. It's like and
Yeah.
it's what you've always done and it's what your customers expect, and I've just, like, always done it a different way. That's purely what it is.
Right. Right. So there's no right or wrong on this. It's just what works for us.
Yeah, yeah. So, that's what immediately was on our list. Now let's
Hmm.
go to our lovely Instagram followers.
Ooh, I have not heard these.
I know. Some of them are, like, repeat to what we had, but some of the big ones that I loved were, "Do leave room in your schedule for unexpected things."
Yes. I think
Kids
I told
get
you this.
sick.
Plan A and plan B.
Yeah, kids get sick.
Yeah. Yep.
You could get sick, which again is why we want you to be really on top of staying hydrated and getting your sleep. But yeah, just and we'll get into a don't series, but I don't want to get into our don'ts, but just leave some room for yourself.
This was a
Um,
running joke when I was in corporate that
uh,
anytime we had like such a busy week or a
oh,
big
yeah,
meeting, somebody's kid would get sick or somebody get
of
called out.
course,
So we would always ask that. Like,
of
so when
course.
I started my own business, I would text my old managers. I'm like, it is not just corporate, you guys. I swear to you,
Uh-huh.
it always happens at the most inconvenient time.
Oh, always, always. My kid always gets sick on a Sunday night. And I'm like,
Oh, interesting.
really? 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 Right
No
when you
school
have to
Monday.
right when you have to go to school. Awesome.
Hey, by the way, that's a really good thing about homeschool. There's no sick days.
Okay, you're never gonna convince me. Um, okay, what was I gonna say?
The next one.
Leave room for unexpected things. Oh, yeah, and also to be able to leave room, it means that you can always undersell on a presale.
Mhm.
And holiday, you guys, if there's ever a time to have a successful flash sale, I promise you, it is holiday time.
Make extras.
Yeah, undersell on the presale if that's what you need to do in order to leave time, then undersell a little bit on your pre-sale. And if you're like feeling it, you're feeling good, everybody's healthy, overbake. Just overbake and over decorate and have a flash sale. Just have a flash
You know what?
sale.
If you overbake and you don't get to decorating, and make decorating kits.
Yeah.
So easy.
Absolutely. But that's an easy way to adjust to be able to like give yourself some breathing room if you need it. And we preach this, take time off after holiday season. If you can, if you financially can. It's something that we both really try and build into our financial like abilities and schedules is just really take some time, take a couple of weeks off after the craziness of holiday season to give yourself some room to breathe and detox and just spend some time regrouping and honestly like getting yourself like psyched up again, like reinvigorated.
Yeah, I take time off after Christmas, but I don't take time off after any other holiday. But I do take a lighter week if I'm doing customs. So if my average week, again, you guys, if you're new to us, I do this full time. I've been doing it for years. If my average week is 20 dozen, I might schedule like a 14 or 15 dozen week just so it's a little bit lighter. But financially, if full-time baker, it is a little bit different of a story. So you can't always take that time off.
Yeah. All right. Love this one. Make sure you're stretching. Yes. We have a stretch series at this point.
You are frozen, and I hope it captured that.
Oh no! Am I better now?
You're better now, but right after you said it, you froze on the terrified face.
Of course. Amazing story of my life.
Yes.
Okay, stretching. Yes, we love stretching. We have a stretch series. And do you stretch daily, Chelsea?
Pretty much. Yeah. I have a neck stretcher. I should post about it. I've been trying it out because I didn't want to. I never tell that I like something until I tried it. What?
I still want your eyeball massager thing.
Oh, I was like, my eyeball stretcher. What are you talking about?
No.
Yes, I should post all those. I should do a reel of like.
I know.
All my wonderful machines. But yes, I do stretch.
Yeah. Stretching your hands, stretching your back. So we cover all those things in our stretch series. As far as designs, now Chelsea gets a little cray.
I have a different opinion on this one. I know what Melissa's going to say.
I think that this is because of like the amount that you're used to handling anyways. Your brain can switch and like you're so used to handling all that stuff. For the not crazy bakers, streamline your pre-sales, guys. Streamline your pre-sales. Recommended to do colors either right out of the bottle or only mixing like maybe 2 colors, because the problem is if you just create a color out of leftover icing for your pre-sale, you're then trying to figure out how to match that color, and it can get like freaky and overwhelming. Like you do it once and then you never do it again. So if you're doing samples, now if you're doing a flash sale or a pop-up, like use all of the leftover icing and like just make whatever cool thing you want to make. But if you're doing a pre-sale, make sure that you're writing down what colors you're using for things, and just try and streamline it. If you can challenge yourself, it's actually a really fun challenge to just create, like use 5 colors, like just make 5 colors of things, and then just look at the cookies and just like figure out what you can do. Because you can add things with like an airbrush. You can add colors with markers. You could do a quick paint on something. Like there's other ways to add color without having to make a bunch more icing.
And here's my take on it. If I'm going to make 100 cookies using 2 colors, I'm going to be mixing those 2 colors.
2, okay.
Whatever, 3 colors over and over again for the same amount of cookies. If I'm going to make 100 cookies using 10 different colors, I'm still mixing the same amounts of frosting in the end. So that's my take on it, because it's the same amount needed to decorate the same amount of cookies. Anyways,
don't
also,
see,
I don't
this should be in the category of things to think about.
Right. Things to think about. I also don't like to feel like pigeonholed in a certain color scheme, because not everybody's holidays always fit those. Plus, if I love my samples that I made, I'm more willing to make them versus like.
Well, here's the thing. Some people are like, only do 4 designs. And I'm like, if I had to make 300 cookies of only 4 designs, no, that is not a pleasurable experience to me. I like having at least like 7 to 8 different designs that I'm working through, me personally.
Yeah. I
So,
felt like that was way less if we went back and watched a year ago. You were
things
preaching the
to
3
think about.
designs. A
3?
mini you
Was
were
I?
like a mini, an individual, a sample pack, and then maybe something else. So yeah, you were in the 3 to 4 last year. So
No.
now that is
Well, now I'm in just like presale only world, so maybe I'm feeling
yeah,
different
Melissa,
now.
again,
I'm
and
feeling
again,
more saucy.
that's a good thing to state is that Melissa's
Yes.
coming from the viewpoint of she's not doing customs
Yeah.
leading up to holidays, so she does have
Yeah.
that time allotment.
Yeah.
Where if you're coming from, you've been doing a year worth of customs slamming into holidays, that's where
Yeah.
sometimes you can feel a little bit different. Like I'm already
Mhm.
exhausted from a year of
Yeah.
this. So make sure you know what your limitation is on that.
For sure. For sure. And it can be the same for flavors of
Yeah.
cookies. One way to really like kind of streamline is if you're going to do multiple flavors, try and do like a design, like different design per flavor, because it can get really wonky. I feel like if you have the same,
Oh my
don't
gosh.
don't you the same design, like the same reindeer. You can either have it in chocolate or sugar or gingerbread.
Any
Guys,
type of
no.
customization of it. I will say if this is your
It's not.
first one, be very cautious of that,
Yeah.
of doing it.
Yeah.
I do that with my elves.
Yeah.
I allow I do boy girl, which is
Yeah.
generic in its sense. In the beginning, I allowed like hair color, eye color changes.
Mhm.
It is very hard to keep track of. If you're
Mhm.
doing one
What color of
design,
the eyes what do you do now? What colors?
I think I just do brown.
Just brown across the
Yeah, I
board.
offer different skin tones. So I do boy,
Okay.
girl, different skin tones.
Okay.
But I think I do all generic of the same. Oh no, it's blue. I think it's blue actually.
Okay.
Um,
See, I'm doing a very artistic take on elf cookies this year so that I don't have to do so much customization. I'm like, how can I get across that it's an elf without having to do hair or eyes? So stay tuned. At this point, you might have already seen it, but
that'll be interesting to see.
Chelsea. You have no
I think I come at it
face.
differently because
You
the
have
amount
no
of volume
poker
I
face?
take. No, I have hope in you. It's just my volume that I take on it. I'm like, oh God, how does that look? So
Well, it's easier because you don't even have to do
I'll have to
eyes
see.
or
I don't know.
hair
I haven't
color.
seen what you're doing. So
I'll show you. I'll call
yeah.
you after. Okay, but yeah, a good way though, if you do want to do like a sampling of stuff, is do it with a mini pack, right?
Yeah, if you want to do like different flavors.
Yeah, like that's a good way for people to do that.
I always get nervous on that because I'm afraid the flavor is going to transfer. Like I don't want chocolate next to my
Oh.
sugar and apple next
Oh.
to my sugar. Like
That
that's
is a
the
fair
only reason
point.
I don't do that unless it was like a pack where they were all individually sealed and like thrown into a bag.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
a sleeve, that makes me nervous.
Yeah. That is true. Okay. I think those were our wonderful contributions from our Instagram followers.
Nice.
All right, are we ready to get negative? I'm just kidding.
We're going to offer different perspectives from this point forward, probably.
We actually don't have that many, did we?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we've kind of already talked through it. I don't know. You look at our don't list.
I'll say one of the don'ts that I do know Melissa and I had talked about prior was the don't like volunteer or keep your day.
That's a thing to think about.
Okay, we changed it to a thing to think about.
Yeah.
So Melissa's take on it. Go ahead and share yours as far as like volunteering at school and things.
Yeah, last year I was like, I volunteered to be a room mom and everything, which I love and being a part of that and like all the volunteer opportunities. But I was like so overwhelmed and I felt like I was like not meeting expectations on everything versus like, when you do too many things and it's just like, okay, now everything sucks. So, after last year, I was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to feel like I'm not doing this right or putting my most into this. And so I was like, I'm just going to take, so I talked to our volunteer coordinator at the school ahead of time. I was like, I am all about volunteering. I would love to volunteer. I cannot volunteer in the fall semester of things,
Mhm.
but in the spring semester of things, I would love to be a weekly volunteer. And like, that's when I am able to give. It's just fall semester is my busiest time of year. And so for me, I think it was like having the upfront conversation, that so they don't think like I don't want to volunteer, I don't want to be involved. But I just knew my limits. I knew my
Mhm.
limits, and I knew that like I needed to focus on this. And it's also my first year of having like a full work schedule available for myself. So this might be able to adapt after this year, after I get a feel for it. But yeah, for me, I was like, when we were making a don't list, I was like, Chelsea, don't volunteer. And she was like, really? And she's like, I love volunteering. I'm like, no, man, like I can't, no, that's an overcommitment for me. That's a no-go. But your perspective is different.
Yeah, I love volunteering. I love the class parties. I love all of that stuff that's going on. It is a little bit different this year because my kids, we are doing homeschool, but I already am planning a Halloween party for the neighborhood kids. So that is important to me. And that is where I get my energy. And the whole reason I got into this was so that I had the time to spend with my family and spend with my kids. So that is a hard pass that I'm not willing to give up.
Mhm.
But in order to not have that feeling like Melissa was talking about, it goes back to constantly knowing my time. So
Right.
I know that I'm going to be up at the school or whatever it might be for 4 hours during that week. So how is that 4 hours being made up elsewhere? Is
Mhm.
it going to be, again, zone out and no one talk to me for this time? Or am I going to have to wake up an hour earlier each morning and make it up? So that's
Yeah.
where to me, I more look at the numbers and I'm like, I can shift this around and make it
Right.
work. Um, so it
You're
doesn't
really good
become,
at compartmentalizing
yeah.
your pockets of time too. I think my brain doesn't compartmentalize that stuff as much. Like
Hmm.
mine is like if yeah, I just have a harder time like turning stuff off. And again, that might adapt. It might be because I was working under like 40 hours a week worth of work and only like 15 hours a week that I had to do it. Versus now I've got 40 hours in a week, you know? So
Yeah.
it's just yeah, that was, I think for me, it was like I had such limited time already that then like giving that time on top of it was, yeah,
Well, and I
it
think
was
too, in the process of building my business, again, from the beginning, it's been a full-time business. So I didn't
mhm.
have like a part-time mindset that I'd have to shift from, which I'm sure
Right.
is such an adjustment. So it was just like, it would be like to me telling somebody at corporate America, like, hey, you can't take time off during this to go do this because it's a busy end of the year season. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I can still do it. So I think my mindset has always been like that is I've treated this as a job.
Mhm.
So these are my work hours and this
Mhm.
is when I can schedule things off. So I've always kind of had that. And then I
Yeah.
know I have to say no to things. I can't do play dates in the middle of the day. I couldn't do
Mhm.
things like that. So I've always had that like corporate
Yeah.
esque planning. So
Yeah.
that could be an adjustment too. But
That makes sense.
yeah. And then the other thing was I know Melissa was big on like not planning like hair or nails or personal things during that craziness. And I view that a
Mhm.
little differently. Sometimes for me, that's a good time to step away,
Yeah.
feel recharged and refreshed. And it's just a few hours. And then I come back and I'm like, you know what? I got time out. I got to talk to an adult.
Yeah.
I feel
So
better.
that for me is working out. Like that is one of the things that I'm like, I can't bend on that. I'll take a day off. So I generally do a workout almost every morning, whether
Yeah.
it's like walking the dog is like a low impact day for me, or like that for me is even if it's 20 minutes, like for my psyche and for
Hmm.
me to feel focused, I have to do that. Now, if there is a certain day where I'm like, it's going to be more beneficial for me to get this done because I'm not going to be able to focus on a workout because this is like
Yeah.
lingering, then I'll skip it that day. But that is one thing. I think to your point, it's like with the volunteering or with like doing some of those self-care things, it's you do have to have something
Hmm.
in place that is a way to zone out
Right.
because
Right.
you do need to give yourself a break at some
Yeah.
point.
Right.
So I'm with you. I'm with you on that. This is a great don't, and I can't believe we didn't have it on our list. This is from an Instagram follower. Don't take customs during a holiday pre-sale week. Really? I feel like we've said this before. You're not in
No,
agreement
I'm
with
fine
that?
with it. I wouldn't do it, but when I
I
had
know.
said that, I had a lot of people that do it, and the way that one person
Structure it.
shared that, yeah, they do because their pre-sales aren't like up yet and they're still working on it, is
Uh-huh.
what they do is they offer a limited amount of pre-sale, like whatever is working,
Okay.
and then they open it up to customs within their color schemes that they're using
Oh, that's interesting.
of it, so they can say, "Hey, I can take on X amount," like, let's say Halloween. "I can take on, like, 6 dozen custom cookies this week.
Mhm.
I'll make you something custom Halloween, but it just has to be within this color palette."
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
they're like, then it's still ways that they can use things and put it together. So I was like, that's really a great way if you're like, hey, I'm still trying to reach a financial budget and my
Yeah.
holiday sales aren't up there. So I was like, oh, it was an eye-opening thing
Yeah, that's an
for it.
interesting
So
take. I would
yeah,
say
or
in
some people said,
general, it would not be recommended, but
right.
that is a case where, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
As
or
long as you, like, again, kind of know your limits of what you can handle, you
yeah.
know?
The other thing was people said that they took pre-sales, or I'm sorry, customs that were themed within the holiday. So like if they were
Mhm.
doing like I know this week I have 2 Halloween birthday parties that I'm doing a
Mhm.
theme for. So
Mhm.
they would do that, and then they would just use designs like, "Oh, I really love how I did this ghost." So they would make extra of those ghosts, and then
Yes.
at the end of the week launch it as a flash sale.
Yeah, that's a great
So
idea.
yeah, so that's where I was like, "Oh, okay, I can see how taking customs can then be beneficial." So
Mhm.
then you're still playing with designs and not
Yeah.
doing more of the work. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
But
like that.
I would agree, don't in the middle of Halloween take on a wedding order. Like
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. I like this one. I'm gonna read it how she wrote it and kind of
Yeah,
elaborate on it. Be sure to stick to your plan and not worry about what others are offering. It can be hard.
100%.
Yes, I feel like if there is ever a time to feel like you um imposter stuff, it's just like there are so many designs. There's so many designs. I made my Halloween stuff like a month or two ago, and there's been so
Mhm,
many designs, or like the Hocus Pocus stuff was not like in the mix when I was making my Halloween stuff, and it's like all over the place. So
mhm,
it's just there is always going to be a design that is so cute and like all that stuff. You know what you do? You save it and keep it in mind for next year. You
mhm.
save it in a folder and keep it in mind for next year. But it's so true. Just like try not to get overwhelmed. What you made is wonderful and it's fantastic, and your customers are going to love it. And your customers are not seeing all the stuff that you're seeing.
I agree. That's where sometimes I feel like I hear it from other cookiers more like, "Oh, I'm shocked you didn't do this trendy color scheme. I'm shocked that you didn't." I told you when I
Mm,
polled my
yeah.
customers, I'm like, "I know what my customers are gonna choose, but I
Yeah,
still continually ask them to open them up to like, hey, maybe you didn't know this theme."
right.
I know the tried and true, they're always gonna pick their traditional,
Yeah,
hands down. That's what sells for me.
yeah,
Is it hard sometimes when I see, like, for example, Melissa loves like all the pastels. There's certain
yeah,
holidays where I'm like, oh my gosh, my home is decorated like that,
right.
but I know what's going to sell is this. And
Yeah,
there's no reason for me to constantly try and change.
right.
So I agree. Put your head
Yeah.
down and stick with what sells. It's for me tends to be the bakers that are like, shocking, you didn't do blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
Oh, well.
I don't,
Well, and also what's good to keep in mind is like we've had this talk with bakers who they don't necessarily post everything that they're making. The people who are posting
right.
the really beautiful, trendy photos, they've also got some Paw Patrol crap that they had to put out that week. Okay.
Yep.
So, but they're not showing that on Instagram because that's not what's getting the engagement.
And that's where I
So,
try and post almost every set I do. The only ones
yeah.
that I do keep back are the bachelorette sets because that
Yes.
gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I try and I mean, if you go over to my personal feed, it's like some days are super bright colored weeks, and then,
Mhm.
like, I can have a Paw Patrol set, like Melissa said,
Yeah.
and then I can have, like, a wedding that's only 3 colors.
Yeah.
So, it's just the variations of it, but,
Yeah.
yeah, try and keep that in mind is Instagram is a little snippet of somebody's
Yeah.
life.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I love that.
This is a great one. Don't forget to take your inventory of all your bags and boxes and make sure
Mhm.
that you're ordering stuff in time. Um, We talked about this on a previous episode. We're kind of like working in a framework of like trying to work with what we have. But
Yeah.
if you do need to put in like a box or a bag order, now is the time to do it at the very front end of your holidays.
I just bought
Um,
butter.
oh yeah, I know I need to
I bought
stock up
60
on butter.
boxes of butter.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
I don't even think my Costco had that many left. I had to buy the sticks because they didn't
Oh,
even have the big blocks of butter
Costco to
already.
me right now is just not it. Their prices are higher than other places right now, and
Yeah, I
their
guess
inventory seems to
need to go
be.
look. We just got an HEB that everybody's going
Oh yeah, I
nuts
saw
over. I should
that. We got
see what's
Aldi.
available.
Aldi.
Aldi. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't
I
have that. We
didn't
have a
like Aldi's butter as much, but I used their powdered sugar. I will say, I feel like there's a difference with HEB's powdered sugar. I
there
feel
is
like
difference in powdered sugar brands.
I
100%.
feel like my royal icing is just fluffier.
Yeah, certain ones people will ask, I'm like, it's just that. But if I switch to like a different name brand, I'm like, ooh, it's like dull
Yeah.
or not as fluffy. So there
Yeah.
is a difference in powdered sugar, I would
I
say.
mean, I was shocked.
Mhm.
Don't be
So
team
yeah.
no sleep.
Oh my God, never. Mm-mm.
Look,
That's when your mistakes happen.
I mean, I understand it, but like that was, I mean, I don't think I was as extreme as your life was when you were team no sleep because you
Mhm.
had a lot going on. It wasn't just business, it was like personal stuff too. But I mean, the only way for me to get work done was some late nights. That being
Well,
said,
okay, I take that. I'm going to add on to that. We're not saying don't be team no sleep, meaning like don't be a night decorator. What we're
yeah.
saying is don't be a night decorator into a full day into, hey, I've only slept for an hour and 45 minutes in the past 2 days.
And it's one thing to have 1 week where you have a craziness like that. I get that. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. Like, during holiday week, like, it can be crazy, but just don't make that the regular. It's just,
Mhm.
it's not healthy. It's not worth it. It's not going, I don't care how many Instagram likes you're getting from it, from the content that you're putting out there. It's just, your health is more important than that, and it can have lasting problems. So,
Yes. And again, if you're a nighttime baker, you do you. If you're a
that was
morning
me.
baker, yeah.
I love a late night decorating session. Believe
Well,
me, I love it.
Veronica will post sometimes like she's working at like 3, 4 a.m. and
Mhm.
I'm waking up at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
So I'm like, that there's no problem with that. And we are never going to say
right,
if that's the only time you can decorate, then that works. Again, it's
right.
the like, I am running myself absolutely dry and I
Mhm,
can't function
mhm,
past my front door.
right.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
We're concerned about you.
Mhm. Don't feel pressure from a friend to take an order that is, more than what you should.
That sounds like
Basically,
that's happened before.
don't take on an order too big because it's for a friend, as in, like, your max is 6 dozen and they want, like, 20 something dozen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't it okay, I would agree with this perspective of sometimes you can feel pressure. Like, I am a people pleaser, and sometimes I should not be like, "Oh, yeah, you can add on an order even after things have closed because you're my friend." Like, that is when things can tend to get lost in the mix,
Mhm.
when things can, just become too much, and you do and it's okay to stand up for yourself in that, like, your business. I know sometimes people are like, "Oh, well, you just are baking." I'm like, well,
Let's trade.
yeah, try it out.
Job swap. Yeah.
Try it out. So, yeah, I would agree. Like, don't feel pressure from people around holidays that are like maybe trying to get a last minute thing and it's just not going to work within your schedule.
Yeah. I've had family members, I've had regulars be like, "Oh, I was trying to purchase your sale and the computer crashed or something," like, but it's like 3 days after it's closed, or like, "Oh, I had it carded and then I got busy and I forgot to check out." It
Yeah.
does suck. Like, it truly does suck saying it, but I always just come back with like, "I'm so thankful that you made the attempt and supported my business, but please make sure to keep an eye out for my flash sale." I always
Mhm.
make extras after every holiday. Or if
Mhm.
I know I'm not making a ton of extras, I'll just say, I'll put you on a list. And I do first come, first serve basis.
Yeah.
And like in the order they email me, I'm like, I will give you X, and I'll email them at that day. Like, hey, 10
Right.
minutes, here's what I have. If you don't
Right.
get back to me, I do have to move on. So
Yeah.
you can create that. Kim over at A Modern, she
Mhm.
then has on her website, I believe it is, a like backup order form
Hmm.
after holidays. So like, hey, if you're interested, which ones would you be interested in? And
Oh,
then she will send an email out to those people in the
that's
order and be
cool.
like, hey, so then she can also gauge on what should she make extras of. So
That's
then that way
cool.
she's not making a ton, but she's like, hey, if everybody wants Hocus Pocus,
Right.
that's where I'll put my energy in.
Right.
So,
I would say too, one thing for me to add to the don't throw out every single little
oh yeah, I
tiny
know.
misfit cookie that might happen. It happens, like something is not completely up to your standard. I personally do a holiday pop-up, and those misfit cookies, like they're at a discounted rate, or you can break them up into sampling cookies. You could break them up
Hmm.
into little sample goodie bags to do with your pre-sales. Or like just don't throw them away too, because that's a good way to test your freezing.
Hmm.
Um, your
I think
freezing
Chelsea at
process, how
Pink
things
Lemon was
do.
like her snack bags or something. What was it?
Yeah,
Sample bags,
yeah,
grab
sample
bag,
bags or
something.
whatever.
Yeah.
Another okay, going back to do. I love my sweet tooth grab bags.
Oh yeah.
I have sold probably at this point thousands more dollars than I would have had I not had them. And all I do is a really simple, like circle, oval, whatever cookie you want to do. You could do it with minis. You could do it with, I think I did like 3-inch size.
Hmm.
Any leftover icing I had, any leftover, I have that out there. I tell them these are not going to be matched. It could have a different color outline than it does a flood. Like I just use my leftover icing, and they are sweet tooth grab bags, and they are like cheap. I think I sell them for like $2 a cookie, $3. I don't know. They're cheap. And but that's for people who don't want to pay. They just want it to be at home to snack on,
Yeah.
or they like are thinking about placing a custom order with you one day and they just want to try something out. That was huge for me too, doing school pre-sales, because not all of my customers have kids in school, or
Mhm.
their kids are like way older and they don't need to buy cookies for teachers. So
But they
those
wanna send them something cute. Yeah.
Right, right. So those are, I would put that on the do. It's so simple and so easy. But yeah, don't throw out all your misfit cookies. It's okay. And don't fret. Like you need it sometimes.
I have 2 things to add to do.
Yes.
Do set a scheduled pickup time and
Yes.
stick with it.
Mhm.
And if you have people who forget, because you're gonna have people that forget, do not open it up the next day to be like, well, whenever it works for you to pop by. I have found giving them like if pickup's on a Friday and you missed it and they need to
Yeah.
pick up Saturday, everybody who forgot, it's like, hey, my pickup for Saturday is noon,
Yeah.
like noon to 1 or something. Give them a set time
People
that
like that. Like people want to be told, people want like something to put on their calendar. It's
right.
too
Or if
much
you can do one in
onus
the
on them.
morning and one at night, but it's only like 30 minutes or an hour, whatever it is.
Right.
So you are aware during that time you're not wasting your day like trying to
Yeah.
text a million people. I will say that is a do. Oh my gosh, and I forgot what my other one was. What were you gonna say?
I feel like there was one other thing over here. Don't miss out on family time because of overbooking. I think is like, it kind of goes back to things that we've said. Just make sure that you can always do a flash sale later. Just
Hmm.
get the family stuff, look at the kids' school calendars, get that stuff on the books first, plan a date night, like get those things on the book first, and then work backwards into like, how does it work? Like, how do you make it work? But yeah, holiday time is just, it's so special. It's yes, like the biggest moneymaker of the year for cookiers generally.
Hmm.
So we respect that, like we get it, but it's also just like it should be special for you,
Hmm.
Like it should be special for you guys too. And so yeah, make sure that you're just taking time to also enjoy it.
I
And
remember
just
the other two. Go ahead.
okay, go.
If you want to create urgency for pickup, make little samples and say the first 15 people to come. Just add in little minis, get
Mhm.
this, and people will be like, was I part of it? Was I part of it? So you could do that. And then Melissa and I had talked about this. Do try and plan ahead, especially when it comes to like Christmas for Christmas shopping.
Oh,
Um, Melissa does it a little bit differently. Do you want to say what you do?
Yeah, so the way that we generally handle it is I have a list that I just like collect throughout the year, and sometimes it'll be some Amazon stuff that I like, some Etsy stuff or whatever. But we generally kind of like look at everything and set a budget for everything, and then like one day we just kind of knock it out. So I'll like buy everything that I had online, and then we'll like do a date day while they're like at school or something like that, and go fill out the rest of our list. So we kind of like bunch it all into
Mhm.
like one like weekend or couple of days. Chelsea handles it probably a better way.
I do it differently because I
So,
have a ton of people that we Christmas shop for. Like I have 3 siblings, so we
yeah,
get each of our siblings something and each of our siblings' spouses and their kids. So there's like a running list of craziness.
yeah,
So financially for me, it's easier just each month that I'm like, hey, this is how much I have per week to spend on Christmas. And
yeah.
I just start buying things ahead of time. So I'll break down like stockings and I'll put like cute little
Mhm.
stocking stuffers or things that the kids will mention, like, oh, hey, can I get this at the store? And I say no. I'll pop it
Yeah,
into a notes app. And
yeah,
then I will just order. So some days I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on stockings. So this month I'm going to order all their little stockings. There's
yeah.
always something that's a last minute that comes up, and that's fine if I have to go grab that. But then I know the bulk of it is done. So
Mhm,
then I can go ahead and wrap all of my presents. Like I do a wrapping day and
mhm.
everything's done. I'm not one, the prices of stuff increase pretty much from here on out.
Yeah.
Um, and two, I don't have to worry about shipping times and delays and all of
Sure.
that or running to a store. I'm an
Yeah,
online shopper. I am not an in-person shopper. That's a
yeah,
very rare thing for me. So that's how I kind of handle it.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that was a lot of information.
I feel like we covered some ground there. I
Right.
feel like but I feel like we utilized our time wisely, which is
Look at us. We're
the biggest
learning.
thing here, right?
Right. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you guys for joining us. We hope that this was helpful. If we missed anything, please let us know. Or if you found something extremely useful, please tell us below. It is always great to hear you guys' feedback, and we kind of know if we're on the right track.
Yeah,
We like it too. Just like you all like hearing from your customers, we like hearing from our followers. But
that's right.
we hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I am Chelsea with Rolling in the Dough AZ,
I'm Melissa with Missy P Sweets. May your cakes never be dry.
and your icing be shiny and crater free. Have a great day, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.